I gave myself shin splints on purpose. I see runners all the time that struggle with shin pain, and they've almost always got the same things in common. And funnily enough, a lot of them things are the things that cause shin splints. So instead of just talking about them, I thought I'd do them and then show you the results of doing those common causes of shin splints, which is getting shin splints, obviously. But on a serious note, it's the best way to show you that that's how shin splints develop, the causes and the effects that doing those things repeatedly has on your body. And then we can use that information to reverse engineer everything and stop you getting shin splints in the future. The first and biggest mistake is poor management of load and increasing your running volume. That could be just increasing your mileage, adding in extra runs, squeezing in an extra run before you go to work, or even changing the type of run. So doing more speed work, doing longer runs, having less rests between runs, anything like that. Just a general increase in your running volume per week. The most important thing to think is that your fitness improves a lot quicker than your bones can adapt. So even if you feel like you're getting fitter, it doesn't mean your bones can adapt with that fitness. So your cardiovascular fitness can be doing that, but your body's ability to cope with the increase in running and things might only be doing that. So if one's going like that, one's going like that, they're obviously not aligning and they're not going to go up at the same rate. The second is load density, which is basically doing too much too often. Things like back-to-back running days, especially the more high-intensity ones, so intervals, sprint training, tempos, things like that. Doing really long runs and weeks where you do some high-intensity speed work, especially if they're close together. And no true easy days. So we've all heard about zone 2 runs and the benefits and how 80% of your running volume should be at a low intensity. But when you go out there and it's really boring to stick to that low pace and you're feeling fresh, it's difficult not to increase your speed. So it's really important to not do that so that you don't get injured. So shin splints aren't always about how much you run. They're often about how much rest you've got in between runs and how much time you give your body to recover. This is the one that gets missed all the time, and it's calf capacity. Your calves and your Achilles are the main shock absorbers when you run. If they're not strong enough, or they're weak or too tight, then they're not going to be able to do their job properly, and they can't absorb the force of each step when you're running. And someone has to do that, and it's your poor little tibia. It'd be a bit like driving a car with no suspension. When you're going over bumps in the road, it's still, the car's taking the force, and if your suspension isn't cushioning that, then, I mean, I'm not a mechanic, I'm no good with cars, but your wheels are going to take a walloping, as an example. So it's no different. If your calves aren't taking the force every time you're running, then that force has still got to be absorbed, and it's your bones that take the whack. So if you're increasing your running, but you're not increasing or maintaining your calf strength work, then that is a recipe for disaster. Following on from that, the next is impact management. So we can cushion impact through strength conditioning, like I've just mentioned. But other things that play into it are things like footwear and the surface you're running on and the type of running you're doing. So running with worn out shoes or the wrong type of shoe, if you're just running with generic trainers, they might not be as good as actual running trainers. They might not have the support, the stability, the cushioning and things like that, which again do the same job as your calves. So they're taking a bit of pressure off your calves and doing it for you. So if you've got running in high heels, for example, it's not going to be as good as running with running trainers. Bit of a dramatic example, but you get my drift. Running on the same cambered road, if you've got a road in your local town that's a bit like that at the side, or there's loads of potholes on it or something, if you're constantly running up and down that, it has the same effect. And these all compound and compound, and eventually you get to breaking point where something's got to give, and it's often your body in some aspect. So none of these things are going to cause shin splits on their own, but when you collect them all together and you're doing them over and over again, then eventually, like I said, it all builds up, it all compounds, and that's when it results in an injury. And in this case, it might be shin splints. It's not that running's bad for you. You hear people that don't run say, oh, running's bad for your knees, you're going to get injured. It's not, but it needs to be managed, and you can do things and use information to help you manage the effects that it's going to have on your body. So things like using the right footwear, conditioning your body, doing the right kind of training, having the right levels of rest, doing cross training, all these things together help manage it. So that's all it is, it's just load management. And finally, ignoring warning signs. So if you've got tightness that increases when you're running, you've got dull aches after you've ran, you're a bit tender in the morning, which is a bit more severe than your typical DOMS or how you normally feel after a run, and something's not right and it keeps happening over and over again, it's not just a one-off, it's happened on a few runs. The majority of runners don't do anything, and that's often how shin splints turn into something more serious. So when you look at the bigger picture and you look at it all together, shin splints aren't just random. They're usually the result of lots of little things and contributing factors stacking together. It could be a sudden increase in load, not enough recovery, reduced calf capacity, repetitive impact, and ignoring early warning signs. So fixing shin splints isn't about resting forever. It's about just changing the inputs and adapting things. If you're not quite sure what shin splints are, or you've got shin pain and you're not sure how to tell the difference between shin splints and something a little bit more serious, I made a video which breaks it down a little more detailed and looks at the two and compares, and it will be here somewhere. And you can click it and go and watch it. But hopefully that's helped you understand what causes shin splints and how you can use that information to avoid it. And hopefully we can stay running injury-free together. Thank you, good night.